And welcome to all. I am officially back. Mel is officially back. And in a couple of weeks, we'll be caught up on sleep. Um, been a long couple of weeks flying to Africa and back and the safaris. It was a total blast. Um, my plan for today is I have a few pictures from the safari that I'm going to show some quick edits on, go through, and mostly in camera raw. So we'll do some other stuff in Photoshop as well. But I'm going to do it as quickly and show you how easy it is to do in Camera Raw. So let me go to share screen and we'll go desktop so you can see everything. Close the, there we go. And you can see my, okay. You can see bridge on there right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Good. Let's go with this guy. This is the guy that scared the bejeebers out of me. A Cape Buffalo wearing the hide. You can see how close he is to the window.
What'd you do to make him mad?
I don't know. I guess he didn't want his picture taken. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start in here and work on bringing up the shadow detail on the his right, our left. And first thing I do is I hit auto. And that brings up the shadow detail, but it also brings up the highlights on the side, which I don't want so much. So let me bring down the exposure, and then I'm going to bring up the shadows all the way up to 100. And I'm also going to bring the blacks up a little bit, which will open up the darkness on the side over there. Highlights, just kind of play it by ear and see where. I don't want it too bright on there. And you can see the brightness in the eyes. Wonderful, wonderful. Remove chromatic aberration. Use profile corrections on the lens. And it tells me what lens I was using, which is the 80 to 200 is when he was really close. I figured I'd get him even closer. He even put a nose print on the window I was looking out. That's how crazy it was. I don't need to do any color correction on there. In the basic, I could change white balance from as shot to auto, see what it does. It just takes out some of the warmth. I'm going to leave a little bit of the warmth in there, not a lot. And that's pretty much all that I'm going to do in Camera Raw. I'm going to hit OK, send it into Photoshop. And we're going to make this a little bit smaller just to be able to see better. And I'm going to drag my crop over to the very edge. Hit OK. And I'm doing it 4x5 at 300 right now. And the reason I'm doing it so small is all the things that we're going to be doing to it will take a little bit of time if I don't. Probably the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, not quite that close. I want to look at the grainage. You can see a little bit of grain and snow in here. So let's go ahead and just for fun, run Topaz Noise DI, AI, DeNoise AI. That's what it's called. And I have to wait for the preview. Luckily, it's a smaller image, so it's going to go quickly. I have it set to auto, so it will pick which ones to fix. Click apply, and then it'll take about 30 seconds or so with this size. If I did a full size, it takes anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes. You can also do some denoise in the sharpening as well, which I found out as I've been working. But we'll do a before and after. That's before. You can see all the noise and grain in there. And that's after it's all gone. And it's still nice and sharp, and the eye is still as ugly as before. I think I want to take the brightness down on the right hand side a little bit more, so I'll bring it back into camera raw and bring the highlights down. Okay. And there you have a mean looking son of a gun. And he is definitely, he sat there for probably 15 to 20 minutes just staring in the window at me. And I was a little intimidated because you don't realize how big these guys are until you get up close to them. And once you do, it's like, oh.
So what's the name of that guy? Is he a buffalo? Water?
A Cape Buffalo.
Cape Buffalo.
Cape Buffalo. And of course, I'm going to put my logo on there. So when it goes on to Facebook, it's going to be there. And let's do a little, one more thing, darken, light, and center, just for fun. See if it did anything. It did a little bit. Darken, light, and center on this particular image is not really that great, but on others it works really, really well. You can see the detail in his mask, as they call it, which is the bony area above with where the horns are at. Really cool image. A lot of fun to play with that guy. Don't save. Let's go to Cheetah. You can see this image. I shot this with my camera on a white balance of 5560 is what I used in the United States. Down there, it came out a whole lot warmer. So what I would do is go to white balance in camera raw, go to auto, and you can see the big difference there. This is auto, this is as shot. And I'm thinking I want something kind of in between to show that it's early morning. So I'm going to warm him up just slightly, not a whole lot. And this particular kitty, you see his mouth has a little bit of red sticking out there. That's not his tongue. They were on a hunt, caught an impala.
Yeah.
They caught an impala and were munching down on it while we were there. I was probably 15 feet away from this guy and his mom. Very way cool experience. If I hit auto for the exposure, etc., I think it goes a little bit too bright there. So let's bring the exposure back to 0. Highlights come down a little bit, and then shadows come up just so you can see the darker hairs a whole lot better. Vibrance, camera raw put it at plus 15, which is cool. I can live with that. Remove chromatic aberration and adjust lens. This particular lens, I was using a 200 to 500, and it was set at 440 millimeters with an ISO of 1600. I was shooting aperture priority at 5.6. So I didn't take out my light meter, run up to him and go poof and get a light meter reading from him. And hit OK. Not a whole lot to do to this guy because he's really cool as he is. The sharpness is like beyond belief. I am shocked that I got it that well in focus. I don't know how I did that, but I did. And probably what I would do is run Topaz Sharpened Ai, which takes a few seconds to load. Patience, patience. And I'm going to set it to auto, which does out of focus preview. You wait for the preview to load right down at the bottom right here. Once it loads, oh wait, cancel that. The reason why I'm going to cancel is because I haven't cropped it yet. Otherwise, we'll be waiting here for the rest of the afternoon for it to crop. So we hit C for crop, and perfect. Rule of thirds works wonders. Now we'll go to filter, Sharpen AI. Even at 1600, there's very little grain or noise in there, which is really cool. And have it set to auto there. And I'm going to push auto for the blur removal and the noise suppression. And in about 5 seconds to be done updating the preview. And then it's done. Click process. And processing takes probably 15 to 20 seconds. Started at like 45 seconds and went down really quickly. We're at 10 now. So just got to be patient with it. If you have a large file, go get a cup of coffee because it's going to take a while. And I don't know if you can see a difference. There's not a whole heck of a lot of difference with it. In fact, it might even be over sharpened a little bit. And what you can do is, let me run that one more time just for fun. And I'll show you a trick. If it over sharpens, I'll show you a trick to get around it. Processing image, processing, and if you got music going on, it goes a lot faster too. There we go. And you can see it's definitely over sharpened a little bit. So you go to edit, fade, Topaz Sharpened. So edit, fade, Topaz Sharpened. And you can do this with any filter and fade it. And what that does, instead of having super sharp edges and too crispy, then you can bring it down. I brought it to like 44% and click OK. And I'm happy with that. That's nice and sharp. You can see the hairs. You can see the piece of hamburger right there. Next thing, darken light and center. I mean, these are just quick fix edits. And they're in darken light and center, you have two choices. You have the rectangle choice or the elliptical choice. And as you scroll over both of them or hold over both of them, it kind of makes a slight difference. I like the elliptical on this one. It made a little bit different choice. You can change the center luminosity, the highlights. Don't want to go too bright with it. You can change the border luminosity to go lighter or darker. I'm going to go a little bit darker. Center size you can change as well. And then click OK. Get that picture out of the way. And here's the before and after. Before, after. You see the highlights are on the face. And this, without it, it's more balanced. Everything is pretty much the same total range. If you do the darken light and center, it puts emphasis on the face, which is really cool. And of course, I want to use my brush, B for brush, and I keep hitting M for brush for some reason. I don't know why, maybe because I'm looking for Michael Collins photography. Flatten it. And I'm going to save this just for fun as a JPEG. Save. And that is, if I haven't posted this one on Facebook, that one's going up tomorrow because I like it. I love cats. Any questions so far? Okay, here is a very lucky shot. In fact, I had two of these slightly different profiles. It's almost sharp. I mean, oh my God, I got lucky. But the undercarriage of the bird is very, very dark. So what I'll do is open it up. I'll hit auto. And you can see it opened up the shadow area a little bit. If I take shadows and slide it to the right a little bit more, it opens up even more. I'm about 87 there. Drop the highlights down just a little bit. Texture and clarity up just a point. That guy's nice and sharp. I was so lucky with that shot. And it's what it is luck. Just being at the right place at the right time, have your camera pointed the right direction.
Beautiful picture.
Thank you. And then we'll hit open, and we'll go open, 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 open. And I'm doing these at 8-bit. I'm not opening up 16-bit, which if you really want some clarity, open it at 16-bit. We'll go to crop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the crop. So I'll go up to the crop setting. It was set at 4:5. I hit clear. So now I can make him the star of the show. Have him fill up the whole thing. Wow.
Mike, did you have your camera on auto focused, or how did you get that focus?
If I tried to manually focus that puppy, not even. There's a setting on there for tracking birds on my camera that I hit with my thumb, and it brings up 4 sensors to catch him in flight. And then once I get that, I get him locked in, and I can hold him using the button halfway down. The hard part is getting them in the viewfinder. When you're zoomed in that far, that's the hard part. On the bottom right here, you see a little bit of the tree left over. I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm going to go to my lasso tool. I have an action for this, but I'll walk through it. We'll go edit, fill, not 50% gray. We'll go content aware fill, normal at 100%, click OK. And then Command D to deselect. And there's another spot down here, just a little light spot. So I'll just hit F3, which is my action, and it does that for me automatically. I think I'm going to run him through Topaz Sharpened Ai, just to sharpen him just a touch more. And before I do that, let me resize him again. So we'll go to image size. Instead of 20 inches wide, I'm going to make it 6 inches just to make it run faster. Obviously, I'm going to want a larger size file when I do it for real. So now we can go to filter, down to Topaz Sharpened Ai, or whatever program you like sharpening with. I'm in love with this. And click on auto, which it says out of focus, which it's not. Wait for the preview to load. Had I left this at full size, it would take forever, and that's why I'm doing the 6-inch size.
Michael, how can you tell sometimes whether it's the motion blur, out of focus, or too soft?
I have it go auto, but you can, let's do this. Do comparison view, and then you can load all 4 of them, or you got the original and then 3 others right here, and you pick the one that you want by looking at them. But I let it do the work for me and click auto, and it automatically detects the recommendations that they say. And for the most part, it does very well. And I'm not going to wait for the preview. I'm just going to hit processing. It says 1.5 minutes, 59 seconds. So this will take almost a minute to do, and it's so detailed. And doesn't really need it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then look, and if I have to fade it so it's not over sharpened, we'll be okay. Nick Filters has a sharpening tool, and I believe On One Software has a sharpening tool as well. And Photoshop has theirs built in. Smart Sharpen and a couple other sharpen edges, I think it is. I haven't used theirs for a while, so 20 seconds to go. We're almost there. Come on, you can do it. There we go. And we'll zoom in here. And it's a little bit over sharpened, which you don't want to do, especially for print competition. Facebook, you can get away with it. I'm going to run it about 50%. And the fade, when you go edit, fade Topaz Sharpen or edit fade filter, you can't have done any changes to it before you do that. Because if you try to fade after you do a change, it won't allow you to do it. It disappears. So that's my bird, but to me, that's kind of boring. It's just a bird. So let's take it one step further. Go to Edit, Sky Replacement. And let's go with that. Doesn't look too real, does it? Oh, that's not too bad. Let's go with that one. And we'll lighten the background just slightly. So it looks like it's bright daylight. And just a little bit of warmth to kind of match the bird. So you can adjust all that in the sky replacement. You can also flip it. So if the shadows don't match, and then you can do all kinds of other cool things to it. And always output to new layers. So if I want to change things, I can. And I've got a little bit of a distraction on the left-hand side. We have the pine trees there. So let's go Shift, Option, Command, or Shift, Alt, Control, and the letter E, which will bring up a composite of all the layers together into one. Do my lasso tool, lasso that puppy, hit F3, which is my action to get rid of it. Same thing here. If you got things you're going to do on a regular basis, make actions out of it. And last but not least, let's put a little dark and light and filter on it from Nick. Click OK. The dark and light and filter, it brings all the attention onto the center object that you have there. B for brush. And I'm going to put my logo on there, and I'm going to save this puppy because I like it.
Beautiful.
And are you guys struggling with the save as feature still? I know when Photoshop just updated, what you can do is go into preferences, into, I think it's file handling, and enable legacy save as. And then click OK. When you do that, make sure you close Photoshop again to make it stay. Otherwise, if you crash Photoshop, it won't stay that way. You have to redo it again. So
Where is it saved to?
If you get rid of that, let's go ahead and I'll take that out again. So we'll go to file handling under preferences, unenable it. Now, if I try to save as, and I go down here to the types of files available, it won't allow me to do a JPEG. It will only do Photoshop, PDF, and TIFF. So those are the only 4 that I'm allowed.
But if you hit save a copy right next to it, it will.
Right. Yeah, you can hit the save a copy right here. Then you can.
Then you got everything.
Then you have everything. Right. I'm lazy. I don't want to have to save a copy and then go up here and take out the word copy, backspace. I don't want to do all that. I'm lazy. I want to be able to do it the fast way.
So Mike, where are you saving this copy or this image to?
This image I'm saving to what I call my July folder. What this is
And where is that?
what I made a folder for July for Photoshop parties. It's just this on my desktop actually.
Okay.
The way I did the birds and the safari, you can see my screen right now in Bridge. My main hard drive is the C20, and then I go to the year 2021. Click on a little bit to the left of that, and I saved Safari. So all my Safari pictures are there. These are my keepers that I have so far set up for Facebook, and then by birds, Cape buffalo, cheetahs, crocs, elephants, giraffes, hippos. I don't know if I've saved my hippos yet. I don't think I have. It's taken a while for my hard drive to wake up. Okay, I haven't saved those. So I have to show you hippos. Sorry. We did shoot a few lions. Oh yeah. These people were busy photographing a beautiful flower up there, and I had a lion down here at the bottom. And if you look very closely, you see Mr. Mel Carl right there photographing the flower as well.
Yeah. But nice try.
Oh, otherwise you would have had to get a lion butt.
There was actually a lion.
Yeah, there they have the lion's butt. And again, there's Mel Carl with his fancy phone.
With his pro camera.
It was I don't know how to describe it. It was just amazing. Here we go.
Wow.
These hippos just exploded out of the water. I was shocked that I even got it in the frame, let alone semi-focused.
Hey, Mike, what was your settings on that? The freeze frame them so it looks so clear?
With the hippos here?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you in a second. I was on aperture priority. I was shooting with my 80-200, ISO 1600, because it was still early morning, f2.8, and it put me at a 600th of a second.
Okay.
So pretty much everything I did there was aperture priority, except with elephants. This one I went into manual so that I could underexpose everything and get a silhouette of the elephant. That was manual. That was aperture priority. That was on my 24-70 as far wide as I could go. I was at 24 millimeters. I I mean, this guy was huge and up against another manual shot just to get the color and silhouette him.
Puts things in perspective when you get close to them, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. When you get bored shooting the same shots over and over, then you shoot his feet and his trunk and all kinds of fun stuff. I mean, just something different. We had a couple of Cape Buffalo that wanted to come get a drink of water, and the elephant said, "No way, you ain't coming here." So we had a little bit of discussion there. And this was at night. We're inside the hide so that you can't be seen by the animals supposedly, but
I call BS on that.
I'm beginning, when that Cape Buffalo was standing in my face, I was a little worried about
I
that.
think they could see us.
Yeah.
What was the light source at night on that elephant?
Had LED lights out there on each side of the little cave thing that we were in. Little baby crocodile out surfing. What I'll do is hit auto just for fun. Brings up a little bit too much on him. So let's tone him down a little bit. If your settings are like this is at 125 on my exposure, if I double click on the triangle there, it takes it down to 0, which is pretty cool. Highlights down a little bit more. Bring the shadows down a little bit as well. And then I think what I'll do is I'm going to paint with my adjustment brush. And what I'll do is hit mask. I'm just going to do the eye. And you go, God, that's weird what is happening. Well, what it does, it's just masking right now. Turn off the mask. It's still selected that area. So I can bump up the exposure just slightly, change the color of his eye a little bit more green. Take some tint, tint it a little bit more green. So he's got tinted contacts. I'll bring up saturation just a hair. So you have before and after.
How far away were you from that?
I was probably 50 feet away from this one. I had my long lens on. I was shooting with my 200 to 500 at 500.
Oh.
I didn't feel like getting so close to him. I'm kind of a coward.
Were all the vehicles totally open, like the one that was just in the picture? Sorry if you already talked about that when I was gone.
We hadn't talked about that yet. There was one vehicle that was not, it had a canvas over the top. So it made it hard to get the bird shots as they were flying.
But they took that canvas off after about day 2.
Well, he changed cars because he had to get tires put on his car because they were bald. Let me crop this bad boy real quick.
Well, you may want to wake up Laura.
Do a darken light center on him really quick. You can see his eye is now kind of glow. Just really quick edits make it so it's usable. Let's go back to my Safari, go to end, and we'll go back to the vehicles again. So basically this vehicle, let me brighten it up a little bit for you. Open, open, open. This vehicle, Toyota Land Cruiser, you'll notice there's panels on the side here. Those doors don't open up on this side. On the other side, the doors open up and you get in and out of the vehicle that way. The driver has electronic tracking stuff for the animals, which made it easy for him to find. Well, most of the time it was easy to find the animals. Sometimes you really had to hunt because they were in the brush pretty far back. There's room, for the most part, it was one per row when we're out on tracking the animals. Sometimes, like this morning, we had 2 groups put together, so there's more than one in a row. It was really cool. We went boonie hopping a couple times over land, not on the roads. I mean, we were definitely boonie hopping, and it was a blast. Most of the people that break out their iPhones during this time are shooting video. It's much faster to shoot it than trying to do video on your camera. That's why Mel has the iPhone out. He's actually shooting video. Yes, I'm making fun of him, but when you see some of the images he got, you're gonna scream. It's just amazing. Any other questions?
Well, I learned something new. I do some masking in other ways with layers, but I never used that where you press that mask button and then brushed on and then changed all of the settings. That was cool. I can't wait to try that.
That's in Camera Raw, and it works wonderfully. Let's bring this guy up real quick. I forget the total name, but this guy's a roller. Hit auto, and for me, that's way too bright. So I'm going to unclick auto, bring up the highlights just a little bit, and the shadows a little bit, and a little bit of vibrance to brighten up the colors. And then open. This guy is probably the most beautiful bird I've ever photographed. And when he was airborne, he was amazing. There's not a whole lot to do to him. He's sharp enough already. If I go into Sharpen AI again, probably over sharpen. Wait for the preview to load. When you're using AI or Sharpen AI, you wait for the preview to load. When you hit apply, it'll go much faster. If you try to hit apply when you first bring it up, it will take a lot longer to process the image. And you just have to be patient.
How accurate is the AI on it?
I'm thoroughly impressed with it. I really like it. Sometimes when you use it, it doesn't show very much sharpening. Other times it makes a big difference. 40 seconds to go, and we'll just sit here and sing a song. To say this is a once in a lifetime experience is an understatement. I think Mel will agree with me that it was just so cool. The only hard part is the travel. There we go. do before, after, and it did slightly over sharpen him, but we'll live with it, I guess. And again, I've got my garbage down at the bottom down there, run my action to get rid of it. And I think I'll get rid of this too. Hold the shift key down to select that also. Hit F3. Didn't quite work perfectly. Do it the old-fashioned way. Clone stamp. And then darken light and center. And I'm going to make it really, whoa, let me fix that first. I do not like that. That still sucks, but okay. I can sit there all day and make it perfect, but I don't think you guys want to watch me do that. I'm going to take the border way, way down. Bring the center up a little bit. Bring the size down. Click OK. Yeah, before and after. That's after. That's before. And you can see how it brings in all your attention onto the bird right there. So that's darken, light, and center, and nick. And then I use the sharpen. And if there's a lot of noise, you can use the DeNoise, which works wonders as well. I'm not going to save him. Don't save. Don't save. Nah, I'm not going to save him either. Him I already saved. I like that picture. That's crazy. Okay. Any questions about what we did today?
Very cool.
I want to go.
Yeah, you do. You really do. Zamanga Reserve in South Africa is where you want to go. And it's set up for photographers, and they've got buku animals out there. No judges on here, right?
How close were you to the animals most of the time?
Some animals you're as close as a foot. Sometimes, 10 yards.
Let's see if I can.
Did you guys see any leopards?
I did not see a leopard. I guess
That's the only one of the big five we didn't see.
Yeah, they're tough. They hide. They're very good at hiding out.
Yeah, and they're very nocturnal, so it's sometimes very hard to see them.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Was that one showing?
Yes, it did. Beautiful.
Okay, that was in Bridge. Okay.
So basically your upper limit, I mean, you were 30 feet away at the most on these things? And you didn't scare the animals away?
The animals are fairly tame. They've been around humans, and the
Vehicles.
vehicles, they train them over time not to be afraid of us.
And not attack you.
And not attack us. Yeah, that's kind of important. Especially the big cats. I mean, the lions walk right past your vehicle and just kind of ignore you. There was one time, first time we out saw them, the male and the female were up on the road a little ways, and the male went into the brush and then came around to our side, flanked us. He might have been 15 feet from me when he roared.
How high did you jump?
I did. I sank down to my seat, and I think I had to go back and get new shorts. Those critters are loud, and the bass, I mean, it's just amazing the sound they generate.
How big a preserve is that?
Huge. We traveled for what, 25 to 45 minutes one way to get certain places for the animals. It's huge. It started off as a sugarcane plantation, and the owners of that then made it into a reserve. And then that went downhill, and then the new owners have made it what it is today, and it's spectacular. The accommodations there I would rate as 8 out of 10. The food was probably 10 out of 10. We had first class accommodations, first class food.
It's South African people. The people
were
at the lodges, amazing.
Amazingly friendly.
Yeah.
The people at the lodge remembered our names after like the first day. And they got our names down and got to know us, and were very, very good to deal with.
How many were in your groups when you went out shooting?
3.
I mean,
We-
3 people in a Jeep?
3 people in the Jeep. Because some people went to, like, there were so many different hides. There were, 4 bird hides, 2 night hides. So everybody was spread out going different directions.
How long did you stay in the hides if you went out at night or something? Were you there for the night or a few hours? Or
If you went out at night, you would get there at 3 in the afternoon, and then they'd pick you up at 9 in the morning. There
Okay.
is a bed or beds, 4 beds in there. They give you tripods with special heads, gimbal heads,
Gimbal heads on them.
you can get a plate from them to match your camera to that. Everything worked out really well.
So what's the
So that
what was the cost of this?
A
I
lot.
think next year's is 6,100, which does not include travel. So
Not
basically,
bad.
that includes your room and board, your food, your everything there, except for alcohol and sodas. You got to pay extra for those.
For how many days? 5?
6 days.
In the reserve or whatever?
That's not a bad price.
Oh, it's a great
If
price.
you have if you have a photo-based tour, because I've seen much more expensive ones, and that's a going rate. That's good.
That's good.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. You're tired at the end of the week though, because you're up at dark 30, because you're out on the road by 6 in the morning, and they're there on the road. Well, you come back in at 9:15, 9:30, do breakfast, go back out at 2 o'clock after lunch, and you either go to your hide or you go out on safari on your what do
Game
they
drive.
call it? Game drive on your mission. It was way cool.
So they had all the electrical and Wi-Fi and everything there for you.
Yep. The room that you have was Wi-Fi, but it was weird Wi-Fi because Mel would be on his computer getting Wi-Fi. I'd be on the other side of the room and I couldn't get nothing, or vice versa. And I even walked over to Mel's side with my phone trying to get Wi-Fi and it wouldn't work. So he was a Wi-Fi hog.
So what kind of plugins did you have to have? Did you have to have the European?
Yeah, you had to get one for South Africa. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They do have a few at the office there that they'll loan you for free, but it's best to take your own. And don't hook up a fan to it.
oops.
Hooked it in the first 5 minutes.
I did
Turn on-
that in Italy.
turn on the fan and you smell smoke, and it's like, uh-oh, that's not
Yeah.
good.
We left that one in South Africa.
It was,
Go
go
ahead. No, it's just thinking of the typical day. So you would go out at 6, come back at 9 or 9:30, then you back out at 2, and then what time would you come back in the night?
6 or 6:30.
or probably more like 5:30, right after dark.
I was going to say you're Southern Hemisphere in the winter, so your days aren't super long.
Right. So you're back, well, I'd say by 5:30ish.
I thought it was closer to 6 before we ever really got back.
It probably depended which
Yeah.
driver you had to.
Yeah, we usually didn't get back till closer to 6, and then at 7 you have dinner and go back to your
Relaxation
room,
time.
go to bed, and do it all over.
Charge. The first thing you do is run back to your room, put your cameras on charge,
Yep.
download your images, back them up, and don't delete them out of your camera till you're sure they're backed up. Right, Mel?
Yeah, right, Michael?
Uh-oh, who did what?
Oh yeah, he had a
panic
puckering
moment.
event there.
I downloaded my images, and with my new computer, it doesn't automatically save them to the same spot each time. So I loaded them in, took my card, put it in my camera, hit the format button, formatted it, and then I couldn't find the pictures on there. It saved them to pictures, not to the file where I was supposed to
Yeah,
save
but
them
he
at.
didn't find that out for a good hour or so, and I cannot tell you what language he was speaking. It was
It wasn't Swahili.
It was French. Pardon my
Sailor-ish?
French.
I would never even consider reformatting a card until they're home. I might back them up. I normally don't. But I would never consider formatting those cards. I would take 10,000 cards before I'd format one.
Well, each of my cards is $250 because it's a special card for the D850.
You spent $7,000 plus airfare for the trip.
Yeah, so you had
but
nothing left for more cards.
Do you remember that? Do you remember what we used to say in the old days? Film is cheap.
Yeah. Well, what I did once I lost the images, I took that card out of my camera so I wouldn't use it again. It was going to drive savers if I had to. Took my second card and put it in there, which when I found the images, I was happy. I was saved.
Yeah.
What were you using to download them?
Using Photo Downloader with Bridge.
Okay, not familiar with that one. Okay.
Oh, it's so easy to use. It's amazing. But anyway.
Once you know where they're going.
Sorry.
Yeah, there were a few glitches here and there, but for the most part, it was an amazing tour.
Yeah, for me, I just loaded them directly into Lightroom and then backed up the card a couple different places and then moved on.
Yeah, I had three external hard drives I was backing up to, which made it even more complicated. Plus, you're tired from your trip going there, and you haven't recovered yet.
How many hours in flight time?
I left 8:30. Well, I left Boise. I got to the airport at 6 a.m. Left, got on the plane. They said, we have a bit of a problem. We're going to have to deboard everybody
Oh no.
for equipment malfunction, which meant my flight from Boise to LAX was going to be late, which meant my flight from LAX to Newark was not going to make it. So I had to book a flight in between while we were waiting. I ended up on Mel's flight out of LA. So I left Boise about 9 officially, got to LA, met up with Mel, who was waiting for his COVID test. He got a rapid test there that day. Went to lunch with Mel and Sharon and a few other people from LA. And then we boarded, 8 o'clock that night?
8 o'clock that night, yeah.
8 o'clock that night to go to London. So it was a red eye to London. I was not in first class. I was in the coach down with the bags, hanging out with everybody. Got to London at, 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock in the morning, yeah.
10 o'clock in the morning. hung out for 8 hours at the London airport. Then we went from London to Johannesburg. We got there at 5:30 the next day.
Yeah.
The next
So
morning?
5:30 at night.
Mm.
So I'd been flying for 2 days straight, basically.
They're 9 hours ahead of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
And then we spent the night. We got there 10
No,
o'clock
we
in the
flew to Durban.
we got 10 o'clock in the morning in Johannesburg. Then Johannesburg, we got a flight at 5 o'clock to Durban. Got bused to our Airbnb, which was okay, right next to the
Yeah.
Indian Ocean. But we went to the ocean and hung out there for a little bit the next day while we're acclimating, and then a 3-hour drive to the reserve.
Is the lodge or whatever in the reserve?
Yeah. I don't know if I have. Let me see if I can find a
And
picture.
there's electrified fences all around the reserve to keep most of the animals at least somewhat at bay from your rooms.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
And no monkeys visiting your rooms?
We
Not
did not-
there. The monkeys were really on the other side of the reserve. I mean, they were a good hour away from where we were. Now, when I was in Botswana, the baboons were fairly close. And
Yeah,
they're-
because I know if you're not careful, they'll wander right into your room and take what they want.
they'll take what they want. Oh yeah, we
They're
were
very
walking
good. They're very smart.
doors or windows open.
Hmm.
It was cool. I enjoyed it. So, okay, let me hit the unrecord button.